Recorded, maybe. Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Murat Güvenç. On behalf of all participating companies, Decision Brain and IBM, I welcome you to our joint webinar on the topic combining decision optimization with planning analytics. Our session is led today with subject matter experts in planning and optimization space. I'm very pleased to have Dr. Filippo Focacci joining the session. He wrote a number of papers on supply chain and optimization space. And Filippo is also the co-founder and the CEO of Decision Brain, one of the global premier IBM business partner. I'm also pleased to have AI subject matter expert, Alexander Aye, who is leading the AI activities across Canada. So before we start, I would like to do a couple of announcements from the logistics. So we put everyone on mute just to avoid background noise. But if you have any questions, please put it on the chat room and we will be able to respond during the Q&A session. Also, this webinar is recorded. Upon your interest, I'm happy to share the deck and as well the recording following the event. So let's take a look at quickly to the agenda. I will kick off the meeting, the session with it's a couple of introductory slides on the prescriptive analytics domain. Then we will spend the majority of our discussion on the case studies where we will bring customers that we work in the past with the planning analytics and decision optimization, the benefits they see, the challenges we overcame. So we will present those case studies. Towards the end, we will give you a quick flavor of IBM decision optimization and planning analytics with Watson products. And then hopefully we will respond to your questions on the Q&A. I am sure those questions are very familiar to you. You are asking what is driving your business, how you can find markets that's more profitable, how you can go to the customers or find the products, the channels that drive your growth. Also, your current strategies that you have today is enough to derive profit, drive sustainable growth in the coming quarters, in the coming year. So most of the organization, majority of the companies we work with, they start addressing those questions. But when they move to the next level, they will be asking other questions like, okay, now, how can I operate more effectively? How can I assign my resources more, economically? How will I derive my profit better? How will I minimize my operational cost? So this is where the prescriptive analytics comes into the picture. So prescriptive analytics is all about managing resources more efficiently. It's all about allocating and utilizing your resources so that it becomes possible to achieve a lot more with the same resources. So if you look at the real scenario now, what you are dealing with, you have a lot of variables that you need to cope with. There are a lot of constraints, financial resources, the industry you're in, timelines that you have to work with. And also you want to achieve core objectives, either being the profitability or productivity. So in simplicity, prescriptive analytics is using these mathematical models, help you derive the most optimal, most viable path for you. If you're living in a time that basically you have to deal with very minimum dependency, very few variables, maybe it will be easy for you to define this best route with your gut feeling, with some historical analysis, and as well leveraging your expertise. But when we are introducing more variables, more dependencies, then it becomes almost very challenging to find what is the most efficient combination, what is the best path that you have to go through. We believe combining two practice areas, planning analytics and decision optimization, will be a perfect pair for a line of business. So we see three important building blocks that is important for your success. The first one, understanding the data, building the dashboards, the scorecards, the reports, the KPIs that give you a better understanding and insight where you are, allows you, encourages you collaboration across business functions, and unifying the data that becomes one single source of truth. Once you have this maturity, move to the next one. Okay, now I can do a little bit analysis, I can do a little bit deep dive, I can do what if scenario analysis and projections. And more importantly, you may explore, you can identify some patterns that give you competitive edge, a little bit more room to grow in the coming quarters. The decide part is basically elaborates and complements these two building blocks. Once you have this maturity that you can understand the data and analyze it a little bit, you still need to define the optimal plans. It could be the schedules, it could be the demand allocation. So you need a complex engine that helps you, that automates you, that finds the best route for you. So keep in mind that prescriptive analytics can be widely applied to various industries and functional areas within a company. Resource can range from capital in your financial application, could be people in healthcare, it could be equipment in industrial, or it could be materials or products within retail. So you can easily assess and identify business problems for which prescriptive analytics can solve by listening to key terms like minimization, maximization, optimization of a key metrics like cost or revenue. In addition, every time that you are describing a challenge and you are using when, where, how much, well, you're likely describing a problem that prescriptive analytics can solve for you. So I will move into the case studies now, and I will highlight one of the company's view work in the transportation industry, and why they decided to use planning analytics to address some of the problems they have. So typically in that industry, organizations are using different tools. Some of them are legacy tools, some of them are on-site tools, some of them are like spreadsheets that build macros and rules by a consultant, even left the company. But the thing is, they're using a different tool for budgeting, different tool for forecasting, different tool for planning, and for reporting. So to bringing that data in a clean way, in a standard way, is really a big challenge for that organization. So what we did, leveraging IBM Planning Analytics capability to connect the different data sources, injecting the data, preparing that data, consolidating that data in a standard way, in an automated way, so that they will exist a single source of truth all the time. The second challenge they have different departments. There are different reporting needs. But every time they need a report, they need to reach out to IT, ask help, ask for resources to make it happen. So what they're ideally looking for is this self-service management capability to query reports, to basically do insight, to create some dashboards. So with the IBM Planning Analytics deployed on the cloud, all they need to access a web browser to reach to the platform, and without basically any dependency on IT, they are self-sufficient to manipulate data, look at reports, build their own reports, or build their what-if scenarios. And the last but not least, the rework. Most of the planning professionals, they spend a lot of time, especially quarterly and monthly cycles, to rebuild those reports, consolidate that data, make sure that it's correct and it is consistent. And it takes a lot of time, and also it's error prone because it's a manual intervention. So retiring this rework of trying to build the reports that already been there, consolidating the data with certain synchronization that is relevant to their business, they will access the data in real time, all the time, without spending extra hours, extra efforts to really reinvent the wheel, or spend that time, that quality time, more on the data analysis and optimization. So the next step with the counter, if we're going back to my previous slide on understanding and analyzing, now we are discussing how we're gonna optimize the best option for them. So we are working on a couple of use cases now that use the optimization technology and the prescriptive analytics to find the best route for them for full consumptions moving forward. So at this point, I will hand it over to Filippo, and he will take over the couple of other use cases. So Filippo, I will stop sharing to give you full control, and feel free to take it over from here.
Thank you very much, Murat. So let me continue from here. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I hope everybody sees my screen now. I'm going to start from a case study. Sorry, I'm going to start, from a use case that really requires a good combination of planning analytics and decision optimization, which is SNOP, Sales and Operation Planning. In fact, in sales and operation planning, if you look at typical or advanced sales and operation planning cycle, what this is about doing a quantitative forecast to understand what the trends are in terms of customer demand, seasonality, and correlation between different aspects of your forecast. And typically, people like to start with some quantitative forecasting method that can be done with machine learning, SPSS from IBM, or other tools. Then, based on a quantitative forecast, there is always a step where there is a combination of this quantitative forecast with what we could call here a qualitative forecast, a qualitative demand plan, which takes into account the information from the sales team, getting some insights from Salesforce. And this is where I would say planning analytics excel in terms of the capability to help sales team to collaborate, to run what-if analysis, and so on. Then if we go down to the validation of the demand plan to make sure that the plan that we have built can be operationalized. This is where we need some decision optimization technology and capabilities, where we need to consider some constraints. It can be constraints such as capacity constraints for my own facility or for facility of my suppliers, and take into account some typical trade-off that happen in manufacturing supply chain, such as trade-off between logistic cost and production cost, inventory cost, and service level. And this is really where decision optimization excels. And then finally, we go back to planning analytics to validate everything from a financial perspective and do some analysis and some validation of what is the financial implication of the SNOP plan that we have built. In this example you see some information about the project we have done with a very well-known company in the United States, that is Carhartt, in the apparel business, where they use the decision optimization and decision optimization center as a tool to connect to a planning analytics demand planning process to help exactly the same way I displayed before, connecting the demand plan with the supply plan. In the case of Carhartt, the supply plan needs to take into account both the facility that are owned by Carhartt itself and facilities that are owned by some of the contract manufacturing they work with, considering different constraints that they have for the contract with some of their supplier, constraints that have on their own plant, and so on, and optimizing some of the key KPI that are typically in manufacturing supply chain, such as service level, inventory cost, and production cost. And so this solution was made with really a combination of planning analytics for the demand planning side and decision optimization center for the supply side. I'm going to show you a couple of other use cases that are very different. And so I will not go into too many details of each of them, because my goal is really to show how the decision optimization technology and capability can be used in different areas and gaining some very strong competitive advantage for the companies that start using decision optimization. The second use case that I'm going to show you is a solution that we built for Toyota for the optimization of the inbound logistic of the Toyota assembly line in Thailand. You need to keep in mind that Thailand for Toyota is one of the most important manufacturing hubs. They have 5 different assembly lines. They use over 300 suppliers, and they run 500 trucks per day and moving 50,000 pallets per day. The goal of the project was to optimize and coordinate the the inbound logistics, so moving the parts to make the car from the supplier to the assembly line just in time. The project was extremely successful in the sense that we, at the beginning of the project, when we discussed about the case study and we discussed about the business case for this project, the goal was to reach anywhere between 3 and 5% of cost reduction. And at the end of the project, we obtain a cost reduction in the overall transportation cost between 10 and 15%. And the team in Toyota were able to build a new plan in a few minutes rather than taking a full week to build a plan. And this is also a project that we built with the Decision Optimization Center tool from IBM. The next one, to give you another angle, another type of use case in another industry, is a solution we built for a call center. And this is another use case that is a very good example of the type of synergy that we can find between planning analytics and decision optimization and decision optimization center, because you know much better than I do that planning analytics is very often used for budgeting, and especially budgeting of human resources. So in this project, we used again Decision Optimization Center to build a tactical plan and operational plan for the work center, where at the tactical level, the goal of the tool is to determine for the next 3-6 months, in a week by week granularity, what type of how many people we need, what type of skills do we need, are there opportunity for training and upskilling some of the people that we have, are there needs to hire new people, and also to some extent, how can we plan and help planning leave of absence, considering the expected workload that we have on in terms of on the demand side. So what type of workload we expect from our customers. And then we build a second solution to determine an optimal schedule more at the operational level. So we look at the shorter horizon on the next 2 weeks, and we plan the activity that each of the person in the call center will have to perform with a 10 minutes by 10 minute time granularity, and optimizing also the when people should start working, whether some people would start working at 8 o'clock, 8:30, or 9 a.m. As in the previous case, the return on investment was extremely important. So we were able to increase by 20% the demand coverage with respect to a plan that was built manually. A strong return on investment is typically one of the characteristics of many or most of the solution based on decision optimization. Last example is a solution that we built for JLL. JLL is one of the market leader in facility management and real estate. And so in the JLL case, we built a system that looks at the set of mobile technicians that JLL has all around the UK. So they have 2,500 technicians, and they need to optimize the activities that are assigned to each technician for the next days, considering also real-time events, such as a new urgent reactive task comes in, and we need to plan somebody right away to perform the task, or I'm stuck in traffic, what do I do? I may need to reschedule a little bit the activity here. In terms of return on investment, Mickey Rooney, that was the program director at the time, he said that the tool helped him doubling the productivity of the team. So with this, I'm gonna stop here and let Alex to give a general presentation of the two products that we have discussed today. So Decision Optimization Center and Planning Analytics.
Thank you, Filippo. So now let's talk about some of the technologies we use behind those projects in order to make that happen at the client and get success. First of the two products we'll be talking about in the next few minutes is IBM Decision Optimization Center, which is a platform that helps with deep building, so developing mathematical solutions, deploying those, and obviously scaling and make sure we do connect and integrate with the overall architecture of any client. It's a pretty modern architecture. It could obviously run Docker, connect to Java, Python, supports many things like Node.js and so on. And that's typically, coming with a new wave of products we have at IBM, where we tend to be very high hand on technology and make sure we do have a top notch product, and we do also connect with anything at a client, especially with those projects which require, depending on the industry or the other, many different types of solution connections. So very important. Why does it help that IBM Decision Optimization Center, and how it is different? But it's for the performance you can have out of that. So not only we have there the ability to develop and deploy at scale mathematical models. Think about Cplex models, for example. It also comes with a series of data and scenario services, so you can definitely make it custom. It's not a pre-built solution, kind of a black box. So we with the team, we do make that decision optimization center really custom for each client, because you have different needs. And by going into those details and customization, that's where actually you get more return on investment, because it's those projects are transformational, a lot of change management, highly operational. It really goes, and hit on the DNA of a company. That's how you make real changes, benefit, and you save on those on operational cost, and you optimize. It comes with a full front-end service layer. So meaning what? Dashboards, maps, Gantt, anything that makes sense. So obviously, you're a boat company or a car manufacturer or a mine, you don't need the same UI. That's why we go that way. And Decision Optimization Center absolutely has that, plus many other things. One of the critical things we see at clients, and the top questions we have raised, most of the time it's about where what are the different flavors, and where could I could install that. And yes, software as a service is always a good option, but what we see actually installed with clients most of the time is they want those very custom solutions for their very custom needs, and they want those anywhere. So no problem, we can go on IBM Cloud, software infrastructure as a service, but if you have any other vendor, it's absolutely not a problem. Those solutions nowadays are cloud ready and containerized, so it should not be a problem. 5 years ago was a different, I would have had a different angle, but nowadays everybody knows very well about those different logos you see on the screen. And that's also critical on just a performance point of view, because you need those advanced analytics solution to reside next to your data. You don't want your data to move all across the world for security reason, but also just for latency reasons, right? So if you go with a vendor that has the ability to connect to anything and install anywhere, it's actually, a lot of this aspect of security and latency is solved by design. And the second product we wanted to talk about, a very known product as well. So the first one, IBM Decision Optimization Center with Cplex on the market, and very well known for the last almost 40 years. The second one is IBM Planning Analytics. So everybody thinks about, BI, business intelligence, being a very mature set of products now. You do reporting, dashboarding, and so on. Well, actually, among that part of the advanced analytics or industry, analytics industry, there is one niche that is actually having kind of an explosions in terms of sales and project, and gets a lot of the attentions from the clients and prospect we talk to. And that product, that niche part of the BI industry is what we call planning analytics at IBM, meaning that you want the ability, depending if you work, on an HR project, on a sales project, finance, forecasting, whatever your type of project, when you do use business intelligence platform, 99% of the time, you cannot enter information. So you're just basically consuming those reports and those dashboards. And if you need to tweak anything, do custom analysis and so on, that's where actually you need to go back to the database behind or use other tools. So because of COVID-19 and other needs in the industry, we have the ability to help with those, entries of information, also the fact not relying too much on Excel, but embracing Excel, and that's where we position our IBM Planning Analytics, which in a nutshell, and I know, at the end of the day, a software is just a software, so it's not about talking about the software, it's talking about what is in that software, a big differentiator, and that is the fact that actually, if someone in the organization using IBM Planning Analytics would be to enter information, that information on the screen, right? Let's say in a table or a form, that information would be available the second after to anyone that has access to that information. So think about agility, think about, building layers of analysis, whether it's for cash flows, sales, a supply chain. It's where you have that ability to work as a team. Once again, it's not a document on your laptop. Everything is centralized, secured, because we have that one cluster behind the scenes. So a typical example of those, and by the way, we have clients using that on a day-to-day basis, and their feedback is that, for example, I used to do all of my monthly analysis in 3 weeks, and I've been installing planning analytics, and now can have a view on my actual cash flow of the day, or any other KPI they want to take a look at, in a question of hours. So instead of having that monthly, screenshot of the health and wealth of their organization, they have that, more of a daily view. So basically, when we implement those projects, we do connect to, SAP, CRM, any data warehouse we have. We have planning analytics that has that very unique technology in between, the end users using some of our dashboards and some other users doing ad hoc analysis. But once again, it's bidirectional in the sense that you would consume things, and at the same time, anyone, whatever, you might be, in Montreal, in Singapore, you might be in HR or in sales, are chipping in and actually entering information live for the organization. And then if you combine that with Cplex and decision optimizations center, obviously what you have is a fully, advanced analytics platform when you can do both, reporting, dashboarding, you can enter information. And when you click on optimizing your marketing campaign or your HR schedule or your manufacturing, supply chain, well, you have the best of what can be done in 2021. So it's a lot about services, but it's also at some point because of the unique technologies behind those two products. Okay, and same thing, you can go software as a service, on-prem, infrastructure as a service of your choice, and it really depends, your budget, your needs in terms of security and latency. So that's the end for that part of the presentation.